recall how many people died during Hurricane Katrina and the floods of Katrina? That, yeah, I mean, again, depending on who you're looking at, the numbers vary. The one I saw where Katrina hit the coast of Louisiana and Mississippi, 1833 fatalities and approximately $110 billion in damage. See, when Father decides to get our attention, he gets our attention, and he uses the elements to do so. So water, it can, even there's still some commercials today. I saw it the other day. I'm like, wow, really, Ida? Where there's funding available from Hurricane Ida. The flooding of Ida was in 21, over 2 years ago. So folks are still, and we see the natural disasters, we'll get to that in a minute, that we see constantly taking place, and how then Father is getting our attention. The victims that 2 years ago first started, Ida first started off the hurricane, became an extratropical low, and then caused heavy rain and deadly flooding in the northern U.S., causing $75 billion in damage, the sixth costliest tropical system on record. You know, Isaiah 45 and 6 says, so that from the rising of the sun to the place of its setting, people may know there is none besides me. I am Yah, and there is no other. Verse 7 says, I form the light, and I create darkness. And they did this. Their Father said, he may orchestrate something, but Father makes it clear, I create these disasters. I want you to know the origin, the genesis of every disaster that takes place. I created it. I do all these things. So Yah takes claim for the calm as well as the calamity. So judgment is executed by Yah on the wicked inhabitants of this earth through his mighty hand. It's a wonder California is still standing. It's a wonder California is still, when you look at the map, it hadn't fallen off yet. And now we got 49 states. But Gavin worked, he's definitely working on it. He's working on California's completely falling off the United States. Good heavens. All the madness going on there. So why are natural disasters called acts of God? Why is that? Has anyone even pondered that thought? Any scientist or any politician, anyone thought of why is a natural disaster called an act of God? So an act of God says uncontrollable events such as hurricanes, floods, tornadoes, tsunamis, that, not caused nor controlled by humans. Okay. Tornadoes, all of that. So it's a natural disaster. So is that why, because it's natural, not controlled by a man, they call it an act of God? Well, insurance companies, and you can correct me if I think I'm on this, Mike. Insurance companies limit or exclude coverage for acts of God. They don't absolve people from a duty to act covered by an act of God, because it's a natural disaster. I remember when at the house over there, a tree fell in my backyard on my neighbor's, on the fence, and the big branch fell on my neighbor's tin shed in his backyard. I didn't even know it. He called me up and said, hey, did you know the tree fell on I need you to, that your tree fell on my tin, my shed, and pierced the doggone shed. And so, it probably don't cost too much, but I need somebody to come over and fix it. So let me know when they're headed over. I said, okay. I said, well, so now I wasn't sure about this, so I called my insurance company and said, was the tree damaged? Was there any consideration that the tree would fall before it did? I said, no, ma'am, it's part of the storm. Oh, you don't owe him a dime. You don't owe, as an act of God, you owe him nothing. And you tell him, I said that. And I told him that. He hadn't bothered me since. So I think he knew the truth of the matter. He just wanted to see if I was going to pay for it. I ain't gonna say nothing to him no more, bro. that what he even called? I think he knew, but I wasn't sure, but he obviously knew that. My point there is, so if it's an act of God, man says, I'm not going to pay for it. So does man give Father claim, or does man give Father credit for the natural disasters? Because if they did, they'd have to find out why he's doing it then. So, well, okay, Father, so it's a natural disaster. All right, so why are you causing this natural disaster? They can't give Father credit for anything that he does. Because if they did, they'd have to find out why. If they went to this word, they'd find out because he's judging you today. Because judging me for what? I had to have done something then, right? I had done something wrong for it because, I don't see Father decide to send a tornado or a hurricane that's going to death. So I must be doing something wrong. But folks will not acknowledge the wrong that they do. So they just call it an act of God, willy-nilly, and I guess that's enough for them. But the insurance company say, but we don't pay for that. So that means you that tree in your backyard. Anybody had an issue where some natural disaster taking place, and something in your yard may have affected your neighbor's yard? Did you know you had to pay for it? That's on them. Let them deal with it. They can be nice, help them out. I did cut a couple of limbs down. I would have did that. I wasn't paying for his I can collect on the insurance. I'm with you, Kevin. Hold up. Give me a second. I can collect on insurance money because of something I did myself. But none of us have any control over Father's wrath. So if we should be collecting on anything, we can't control that. It just said it's nothing of human control. But they don't consider that because they don't want Father in the picture anywhere at all. I guess that's why we have FEMA. So when insurance comes in, we call on the federal government then to help us out when we need some support. But two more sick, didn't even know the faucet was leaking, and the whole floorboard had to be torn out. The whole floor had to be torn. Money, water, boy, you got to have a pocketbook. If you're not paying attention, and water is, I use water to illustrate the light. So illuminates things to us. So we're going to go to Ezekiel 43 there. Just a quick context. So after we looked at Ezekiel 38 and 39, after both human and spiritual evil is finally defeated, and we see the measure. Then he, the angel, led me to the gate.